Welcome. This is a demo of some of the new features of kbp2video. Hopefully you've either used kbp2video or you've seen the previous demo. So the new UI adds several features. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, like a quality control, a lossless option, but some of them need a little explaining. So I'm going to show the intro-outro feature and some of the bulk editing capabilities. So I've got here a pretty clean file layout. I have my KBP files along with the audio, each in a separate folder for the projects, and then I also have a background folder with some common elements and a working space with some additional files that I don't want to use with kbp2video. So I've got pretty basic KBP projects here. I do have the title as part of the KBP, just using the text feature. So you see there the text starts, and then later on the subtitles start. Alright, so I'm just going to drag these entire folders over so you can see that it'll process the files in there and it'll determine which ones match up. Here there seems to be a little bit of an issue. For some reason it's duplicating that file. I'll figure that out hopefully for the next release. But for the most part it can figure out which KBP goes with which audio because they have similar file names. Now I'm going to apply a background to both of them. For some reason I forgot how this logic worked, but it actually will prompt you for which one you want to add it to when you do it this way. So I'm going to redo it in a second. So if you drag them all in at the same time, and there's only one background file, then it'll apply it to all of them, which you'll see in a sec. So there you go, the background's on both files there. Alright, so now I'm going to show you the intro-outro options here. So I selected both files, which means that the settings I'm applying here will apply to both of them. So now I'm selecting the intro file I want to use here, which is going to be an image. And since it is an image, it doesn't fill in a length for you. You have to fill that in yourself, how long you want the image to display. And then you can set a fade in, fade out. And if you use the fade from black feature, then it will fade from a black background instead of fading from whatever background you have configured, which is probably what you want in most cases. Okay, now for the outro, I'm actually going to use here an outro video. And see, it fills in the time for you by default, but then you can adjust that if you want to truncate it. And again, there's the fade options and the fade to black in this case to end the video with black instead of with the background. So now if I want to edit just one of the files, I can change some of the settings that I previously set on both files. So in this case now, I remember, oh yeah, this one has a short ending, so I don't want that video at the end because that'll take too much time. If you notice, I'm using the new relative output folder option. So it's instead of placing it at an absolute location, it's placing it relative to the location of the kbp file. So if I don't want a subdirectory in there, I can just delete that, and it'll put it in exactly the same place as the kbp. And unfortunately, I forgot that I moved that background file right after I dragged it in, so I'm going to have to move it back to where I put it before so it finds it again. One thing to note is that even though my resolution is set to 1920 by 1080, since the background was actually 4K, it's actually rendering these in 4K, which took a lot longer than I expected because I forgot. So just keep that in mind, that your background should be the size you want your video to be until I add that support for that override background checkbox there. Okay, so through the magic of editing, our first file is completed. It's prompting there because we had that issue with the background files before, so it had generated an ASS file for both of them. So let's take a look at this one. Notice it did fade in and fading out to the background. And of course, we could have a better designed title card to accommodate the title, or we could display it before the title. It's a pretty bare bones kbp, so I didn't really do much editing of the syncing, and I didn't add the lead-ins yet. But otherwise, it seems to be working fine. Alright, so let's skip over to the end. Alright, so remember we have the video here, so let's see how that works out. Should be in the last 5 seconds approximately. So here it's fading to it, it's showing the video. And unfortunately there's a slight bug there, as it is showing the background after the outro. I do know what's causing that, so I'll fix it for the next release. Okay, and the other one's completed, so let's take a look at that. Again, the intro fades in and out. This one unfortunately has a cold start, so I would normally add some music there before it. Okay, skipping the end. And we fade in, and we fade out to black. Okay, so now I'll show the import process if you don't have quite as clean a setup as I did at the beginning. Now I have videos in those folders because I export the same location as my kbp. So we can see what it looks like. So if I drag a folder in, notice it includes that video because it thinks it's a background. There's a checkbox though to disable background, so you just apply that, and then you can drag the files in, and then you can add your backgrounds afterward. Because I had that checkbox clicked, it didn't accept it, but yeah, now it does. It'll let you replace your existing background, or you can choose the other one, the other file. Okay, and now suppose you edited the outro of one of the files before, or of both of them before, because you already knew they'd be different. And then you wanted to go back in and edit the intro of both of them at the same time. So I'll show you what that looks like. And I realized I had the files backwards. So finish up with this image one, and then I'll go add the video to the other one. I did test out something else here to see if I could resolve that issue with the background. That didn't work, but I do know how to fix it in the code. Okay, so now if I go to edit both of them, notice all those fields show up in gold. Those are the ones that have conflicts. If you don't touch them, then they just stay the way they are. If you change them, it changes both files. So now we can go in and add the intro. The intro applies to both files, but it doesn't change anything with the outro because we didn't edit that. Alright, if you're curious about how this is working, or you're wondering how I'm going to fix that background issue, you take a look at this. Here's the actual ffmpeg command that it's running. If you'll notice in there, this EOF action equals pass. We do need that in the first fade out because we want to display the video after we display the intro. But we don't want that after the outro because we don't need to display the video anymore, the background video that is. We can just display black. So there you go.